Shubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Tnad Forest and Environment Gajala Meghalaya Hagaching Trailang but Network for Certification and Conservation of Forests New Delhi Pynlong ka workshop ka balai ngilenter na kamtaban Ïakren but yatai halor ka forest certification and carbon credit ka Pynlong Hasilvan House Lawa Lachmir haba ajingkran hakani gaching lang u chief secretary Gajala uba DP wa lang ulong baki don shibun ki aka ki bengi hab bantip shaphang gajing Pynneh Pynsah ki Khlaw Barok ngiya tip ikijilan kam ki Khlaw la kalong hakishnong ki thaw hakari bat hakaperthei shu ulaong baka sarkar India kajui hakajala Kumno bangin ringin sumar ki Khlaw henry ngiyo I shibun ba ki Khlaw ki la selenlut kumda day na kane baka sarkar India ka hab ban shim ki senjam ulaong ru baka jala Meghalaya kala Pynlong shibun ki jingalang ban Ïakren halor Kumno ban nangla ban thung shu iki ding hapo ka jala khnang baka jala kanong kabalaker bat tap da ki Khlaw la Pynlong ikane ka program hakijilan lang URS Gil Principal Chief Conservator of Forests and Head of Forest Force Meghalaya, Upravin Bakshi, Commissioner and Secretary Tnad Forest and Environment Gajala, but kiwe.
Honestly speaking, I'll start with a small confession. I wish I was not the chief guest of today's function, but I wish I was one of the participants of this workshop because it's such a complicated subject and also a new subject that my knowledge as far as carbon credit and forest certification is so low that I wish I was in the audience more than anything, especially in the presence of all these very learned resource persons who have come all the way from different places. Because there is so much to learn in this field. And I'm very happy that this workshop is being organized today because I'm sure that the capacity that is going to be built will bring in a lot of benefits, not only to the state, but especially in our state to the communities. We are aware of the importance of forests, both internationally as well as at the national level and at local level. But if you look at the history of forest management in the country, you see that there have been different phases right after independence. First, when we gained independence in 1947, forest was totally an open field in which the states had majority of the responsibilities. And it was a state subject, in fact, and the states had a full liberty of going for whatever way they find it beneficial as far as forest management is concerned. Then the first change came in 1976, perhaps with the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution, in which forest was shifted from the state list to the concurrent list. I think so that was a major breakthrough because that shows that from the Indian government side, from the government of India, they want to have a stake in the management of forests and not leave it totally to the states. And they have noticed that there have been rampant afforestation, degradation of the forest cover. Therefore, it was imperative at a point of time for the government of India to step in. And that was perhaps the first step, and it was the first major paradigm shift as far as forest management is concerned, 1976. Then of course came the Forest Conservation Act in 1980, which mandates permission of Government of India to deforest any forested area, and that was a very big game changer too, 1980. So these two steps taken by the Government of India were major steps to ensure the protection of forests at all levels. Then of course we are all aware of the TN Godawaran case of 1996, I think it was on 12th December 1996. I remember this date because I was SDO Civil at that time. And I was posted as SDO Civil in Mairan, which was an area in which all the big guns of the civil subdivision at the point of time were engaged in forest and timber activities. And suddenly there was a ban as per the mandate given by the Supreme Court. And we had a very tough time in the administration because they said that we're not going to listen to anyone, we're not going to listen to the Supreme Court, to the government of Meghalaya. A lot of discussions had taken place at that point of time. And I remember taking a delegation of these timber contractors to places like Homesning and Kudamkulai to show them the benefits of poultry farming, to show them the benefits of rearing cattle and all that. Came back, they all had a good laugh. There was no return on investment in all this, return on investments in forest and all that. but eventually better sense prevailed, and people took to this transition with all the working plans, with all the management of forests through various working plans that was mandated by the Supreme Court order. So, as you can see, the livelihood of quite a huge chunk of the population depended on timber, on these forest products, minor forest products, and it has always been a challenge as far as conservation is concerned. Now, suddenly, if we are sitting here today talking about forest certification and carbon credit, it's a total paradigm shift again, because now we are not talking about empowering the community through cutting of forests, but empowering the community through growing forests, that is through afforestation efforts. So it's totally a different ball game altogether. In fact, just about, I think a week back, as mentioned by our Commission Secretary, we had a number of meetings of the externally aided projects in our state. We have quite a number of them. In fact, many of them relate to forest and forest activities and afforestation. One of the major one is MegLife, and one is Khlaw. And in these projects, a lot of initiatives have been taken for afforestation. I'll come to that later. But let's start first with the international, at the international level, what is happening. To encourage all this forest certification, carbon credits and all that, the government of India has already made a commitment. I mean, the resource person will know better. They made a commitment of additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2, which basically means they have committed an additional forest cover of more than 26 million hectares. So that is the commitment made by the government of India. And among the G20 countries, only the government of India so far has met this initial target of what was committed at the Paris Agreement on climate change. So you can see that the commitment made by the government of India is also there, and it has percolated down right up to the state level. In fact, in our state, the Chief Minister is very, very committed towards this cause, and we are the first state to envisage setting up a separate secretariat for climate change. He was talking about walking 10 kilometers. We have to do more than that, in fact, in the future. Because this climate change secretariat, what is envisaged is that not only Forest Department will be in charge or will be involved in this, it will be multi-sectoral. It will be the Public Health Engineering Department for water supply. It will be agriculture, it will be horticulture, it is soil and water conservation, and forest department. All these departments will have to come together under one umbrella, under this secretariat, for climate change and sustainability issues. We have made very clear-cut definition of the goals that we want to achieve as per the SDG, and I'm sure that this will come into fruition very soon. In fact, things have already started moving in the right direction, and this secretariat will be functional very soon. Our state is a state, as mentioned before, which is full of community forests, full of sacred groves. It is also a challenge at the same time. We have not done any cadastral survey in the state. So it's a challenge. When you're talking about carbon credit and forest certification, it will be a challenge because the land ownership is a little complicated over here. You don't have proper records. So therefore, I'm very happy to see that forest officials from district councils are also here, because they are the people who will be looking at a huge chunk of forest cover that we're talking about. Because state government will be looking after reserve forests, but most of the community forests and private forests are under the ambit of the district council. So those officers are also here. So therefore, it is a very good step that has been taken to invite all of them. So going back to international commitment made by the government of India, in the state, apart from the secretariat that we're talking about, we are talking about the various EAPs, the externally aided projects in which we have made commitment towards forest certification and carbon credit. We have already done, this is not a plan, already done about 6,000 hectares of forest coverage, that is additional afforestation, and involving more than 3,000 forests, because these are small marginal farmers at the last mile who are involved, And we are hoping that through this Make Life project, through Clam project, these two externally aided projects, we will be able to reap the benefit of carbon credits. Now, for those who are not understanding what is carbon credits, basically what we are talking about, you do the afforestation for a certain quantum of land, certain number of trees, and then they are measured and quantified in terms of carbon units. And I think so the price of one carbon unit today is about 16 rupees, 15 rupees, something like that. And it had peaked about 10 months back to about 6 or 7 rupees per unit. So instead of cutting the trees and selling it in the market, it's better to plant the trees and get money through carbon credits. That's the whole game, in fact. Plant more trees, get more money. And who's paying for this? Agencies from abroad, big companies from abroad who have been indulging in all these pollution activities. It's a very, very simple math. It's a give and take, polluter pays principle. You can say that as simple as that. So we are hoping that through this Make Life and through Clam projects, these farmers, the stakeholders in the last mile, the communities will get this direct benefit. We are talking about, we have already done about 6,000 hectares and more than 3,000 forests, and we have tied up with Rabobank. But there's a caveat over here. I was talking to them in the meeting also. It's not a simple exercise. It's very complicated. In fact, one of the key speakers, the resource person, was mentioning about the various layers of certification and acceptance and approvals and all that. I'm afraid it may not be as simple as just claiming this money. In fact, it may take little time. I don't know whether Guranka who's involved in this process has gone through this process properly and conducted proper due diligence or not, but he should be present in this workshop to ensure that these farmers who have taken the efforts for 3,000 additional forests and 6,000 acres get the benefit. That is very, very important. And then we have this payment for ecosystem also in one of the externally aided projects, which is an initiative again of the state government in which the people who are involving in afforestation activities and all activities are paid a certain amount of money so that they feel encouraged and feel empowered that the government is taking care of them. So these are the various steps that is being taken by the state government, and I'm sure that all those who are still not initiated into this process, in the next 2 days, you are very lucky because this is the end thing. If you look at the various courses abroad, most of the certifications in top level universities are on this topic, that is on what we call as carbon financing. There's nobody who's an expert here in Shillong on carbon financing. In fact, to tell you personally, I was just telling one of my sons who's quite well qualified to go for this, one of these certificate courses, because I feel that it will be quite beneficial. So all those who are having relatives or those near and dear ones who are well qualified in all that, carbon financing is one area in which you can really explore, and there is a lot of potential in this field. Just one more small aside, I don't know how many are aware in this room that there is a very famous company who have landed in Shillong, and they are into this process of afforestation. I have a suspicion that the state government has not been consulted. This company has not come and met the forest officials, and this company is one of those companies who are involved in the vaccination process. I'm sure you know which company I'm talking about. And they are already in Shillong, they've already set up an office here in Shillong also, and there's a commitment of more than 400 crores of investment here in the state. So I'm not so sure whether they have communicated with the forest department or not, but I'm sure they must have communicated with the district council because they are interested to basically go for afforestation in private land and community land and owned by the communities, land owned by the communities. So they must have consulted the district council. I have only one small issue to raise regarding that. They are coming here for afforestation, well and good. They'll be claiming carbon credits, I'm sure for that. There has to be a give and take. There has to be some benefits for them. I want that whatever they're doing from the district council side, just be a little careful. Whatever benefit they're getting should be shared with the community. This is very, very important. It's not that they're doing the afforestation, they run away with all whatever they get from the carbon credits. Share of the pie should also be there with the communities who are giving the land, and we have to be very careful if we are inking any agreement in the near future. there has to be a process of agreements with the communities, and some agency will have to come forward. Most probably will be district councils, the autonomous district council both in Kasi as well as Jaintia, and also maybe perhaps in Khlaw. So these are the things that's happening. People are coming. More and more companies are looking. In fact, there's an Israeli company also looking at this. They are planning to come to Meghalaya for the same purpose, and again with an eye on carbon credit. So all in all, I feel that this workshop is very timely. Many who are sitting here, although we are all experts in forestry and forest management, may not be aware of the process of forest certification and carbon credits. So I'm happy that it will be a very high octane, sort of a workshop, because the presence of so many luminaries are here from different areas who are all experts in this field. And I'm sure you'll all benefit from the discussions in the next 2 days. This is the in topic, and this is the topic which is the most important today as far as climate change is concerned, as far as forest management is concerned. So therefore, take the benefit of this. I wish the workshop all the best, and I wish all the officers who are participating in this workshop come training to get the benefit and share it with all those lower level officials also who will be involved in the field. Thank you, Mitela Jain.
Former Director General Forest Service of India and the former PCCF and Hawk, Arunachal Pradesh. Respected CAMC, Director General NCCF and the former PCCF and Hawk, Assam. Other experts from the network, the DP Walan, Chief Secretary to the Government of Meghalaya. To this inaugural session of the workshop on training on forest certification and carbon credit, being organized in collaboration with the Network for Certification and Conservation of Forests. Sir, we in the Forest and Environment Department are moved by your kind gesture to spare valuable time from your very busy schedule to grace this inaugural session as the chief guest.
The governing body of PFC, that is Program for Endorsement for Forest Certification, that is the international body. We are the only national governing body here in India which is dealing the forest certification per se internationally. We are the members of IUCN and Global Evergreening Alliance. We have got the observer status of UNFCCC and UNCCD also. Barring setting the standards for sustainability areas, we are into a couple of other mandates also as NCCF, advocating the policy change, particularly with the government. And for example, I can cite an example of while developing a concept note for Green Credit Program. NCCF was one of the members in the core committee. We have developed the concept note for Green Credit Program on behalf of Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change. By that, we are enhancing skills through training and capacity building, and that is one of the purpose we are here to the state forest departments also. So far, we have developed 9 core areas where we have developed the standards. 5 of the standards are already functional, related to sustainable forest management, tree outside forest, carbon.
I would like to begin by extending gratitude to our respected Chief Secretary Sir, who has taken time out to be here in our workshop on training inaugural. We thank you, sir, for your constant and proactive support and being a warrior and being a leader for all matters of the Forest Department. I would also like to place on record our sincere gratitude to the Forest Department and its stalwarts, sir, and Mr. Chaudhary, sir, who have taken this initiative to have this very useful and very practical and visionary program which will help not just the Forest Department but our friends from PCA and all the stakeholders. I will not speak much about the concept because I'm sure there will be speaker after speaker who will be shedding words of wisdom on the topic. I just like to give a broader perspective of sorts. The first one being the state government now has gotten very, very serious about climate change. Because climate change is upon us and its threats, its hazards are visible to all now. We were living in a secluded paradise where we used to think that we have enough forest cover and we will not face any kind of problem. But the past few months and years have shown us that Meghalaya also faces the same degree of challenge when it comes to climate change as any other part of the country. We have biodiversity hotspots, we have beautiful tree cover in most parts of the state, but also at the same time it impresses on us the need to have a very good global standard of forest certification and also to work extensively on carbon credit. Our state government has come up with a climate change council which is headed by the Honorable Chief Minister, and through various stakeholder participation of various departments, many initiatives are being taken for forest cover and enhancement, for certification, and this very, very important buzzword and catchword of carbon credit. We have externally aided projects of World Bank, KFW, ADB. We had a general body meeting last week only chaired by CSR, and he made a very valid point that the biggest externally aided project from these multinational organizations are coming in forests, in climate change, in carbon credit certification. So this has become the buzzword not just in our state, nationally, but even internationally. And therefore, to align our state with the SDG goals, to meet all the targets, and to preserve what is very special and unique to us, which one can safely say that sacred groves. The state government has to take extra initiatives. The state government has to work very hard. The forest department has to do all that it can to have a very vibrant board of forest certification, so that the state is able to enumerate, the state is able to certify and have a live registry of what kind of forests we have, and how we can monetize carbon credit, do carbon financing, and the state government would also economically benefit from all this.
When I last met Mr. A.M. Singh in the conference hall of Meghalaya House in Delhi to sign the MOU which has led to today's meeting, I distinctly recall an air of gravitas on the occasion. It was not something like a routine meeting with the officers of different departments sitting for a cup of tea and then looking at prospects. We were both aware that what we were doing, what we were putting our pen to, was going to herald a whole new chapter for the state of Meghalaya, a whole new era for the landowners of every kind. And that memory has stayed with me, and on this occasion I would like to thank Mr. A.M. Singh for the initiative, for his constant interaction throughout my term as the 7th off, which ultimately culminated.
Objective of this training basically is to make the officials in the State Forest Department, the Autonomous District Council, acquainted with the basic concepts of forest certification and formulation and registration of the proposals for accrual of carbon credits.
Sir, you were talking about forest and tourism. If you can throw some more highlights, if you can throw some more light
The forest
on tourism.
Yeah, actually ecotourism has both positive impact as well as negative impact. If ecotourism is undertaken in a unsustainable manner, then it results in the damage and destruction of the site which is visited by the tourists. So there is a there are norms and which basically prescribes for the sustainable ecotourism.
Sir, we can see that our forests are getting reduced in the state, and climate change is a concern. So what's your take on this?
Yeah, that is actually, we share this concern, and then this was one of the point which we highlighted in this workshop, that forest has a huge potential in our state, because there is the climatic condition which is prevailing in our state is highly conducive for growth and survival of the forest. As I told in my welcome address, that the potential productivity of pine forest in our state is 31 times the national average productivity of forest. But somehow we have not been able to encash that potential, or we have not been able to highlight that potential. So one of the objectives of this workshop is to highlight and understand the inherent strength of forestry sector in our state.
Sir, my last question. Organizing this kind of workshop, after the workshop is over, this workshop, it remains confined to this, the four wall of this conference room only.
No, it is
We
no.
do not see like it gets,
No, actually, as far as this workshop is concerned, we have a definite target that this workshop will be followed by formulation of at least 5 proposals for certification of at 5 different type of areas, and registration of at least 1 carbon credit proposal on any of carbon registry of India or any other acceptable and credible carbon credit registry. So that it may not be true that this workshop will end with within the four wall of this hall. No, it will not. We have a definite target that it will be followed with actual implementation of what we learned what we will be learning during this workshop.
Thank you.
Welcome.